Hey everyone, it's TT here. I just want to have a few minutes to talk a little bit more about some things for the upcoming Aikido with Mind and Body Coordinated course for LGBTQ+. So some of you out there already practice Aikido, may be interested in the course. Some of you may be total beginners and just kind of found out about it one way or the other. And again, this course is open for everyone with any level of experience, and I'm hoping that no matter what your level of awareness is of Aikido, martial arts, or any embodied practices, period, there will be a lot that you can gain from this. I want to just touch a little bit on why I think this course is important and necessary right now, and why I think things like this should be done more in the world of Aikido in particular, not to mention other embodied practices. That we want to talk about accessibility, making spaces more accessible for people of other identities, LGBTQ in particular, but of course also accessible for Black, Indigenous, and people of color that are often not really numerous in these kind of spaces. And a lot of people ask questions like, why aren't there more women? Why aren't there more people of color? Why aren't there more queer people in my space? And that brings up conversations around inclusivity. I think something that's happening a lot currently, which I think is really great, is people are moving away from the inclusivity language and towards accessibility language. And the reason I think that's important and really fundamental towards making great strides in growth in these practices is that inclusivity has this notion of a space that is cultivated by often heteronormative, cisgendered male people, and often a lot of white people too. These are spaces that are catered from that perspective, founded with that perspective, and aren't taking other perspectives into account. Inclusivity has this notion of bringing people into the space and making them feel welcome, but not shifting the dynamics of the space and the sort of dialectic and dialogue of the space itself in order to make it more accessible for these people to want to feel at home. People like myself, people like you. So I think that's why it's important to switch to the language of accessibility and also to do things that create more accessible avenues for queer people, trans people, Black, Indigenous, and people of color to feel like the space welcomes and is open to their perspective and their being. So accessibility can be more work as well. It requires doing things like this, for instance, of creating safe spaces where we can engage and learn about the art together, where we know we're going to be in a safe, held space of other queer people. And that's why this is an important step as well. So we can talk more about that as well, and I think there's lots of great conversations happening in the world about accessibility versus inclusivity. A lot of great conversations happening in the embodied arts about this. There's lots of articles you could research just simply by searching those terms. And I encourage you to do so if you don't know a lot about that conversation already. I also want to talk a little bit about my viewpoint and waypoint kind of into Aikido, and one of the main things we're going to be focusing on in the course. So Aikido, you know, is a martial art, and is a martial art of Budo, of self-defense. But the founder of Aikido, Morihei Ueshiba, who founded the art in Japan less than 100 years ago, so it's relatively newer. One of his main focuses in the art was its relationality to nature and how the movements, the spirit and the energy work in Aikido directly correlates to nature, animals, natural phenomena. And I think that's very important to think about Aikido as an art of relationality to other kin. Other kin can mean animals, plants, natural phenomena like oceans and forests, like large biodomes and microorganisms as well, cells, bacteria, and it also means other people of all kinds. So thinking of it as art of relationality and of course an art of connection is a great way for us to dive into some exercises we're going to do in this series. So we're going to talk a little bit about the philosophy, and then we're going to kind of implant those seeds through specific movement exercises. So we can kind of plant seeds of philosophy through embodied practice, creating kind of a whole somatic experience of learning different kinds of knowledge and expanding, growing in our relationality and our ability to connect with the natural world. So that's going to be a big focus in this series. It being, of course, online where we can't do physical connection, is creating relationality and connection through these philosophies implanted in somatic practices. So I hope this video has been informative. If you have any questions or any comments about things I've said, from the discussion of inclusivity and accessibility to the Aikido's direct context in relationality to nature and natural phenomena, I encourage you to put some questions and comments down below, and I'll be happy to continue having dialogue with everyone. And I really look forward to seeing some of you in the course. All the information is in the event, and you can always, again, message me or ask me if you need any more information on it. So I look forward to seeing you this coming Sunday.